Hey, I'm high, and I'm here with heartbreaking news for me. That Off Hours brand, I still love them, but their Serenity one mixture gummy, they're gummy. So, yeah, I have to try new gummies. They're not selling it anymore at Housing Works. Now, I haven't checked to see if they sell it on the Off Hours site, but Housing Works isn't selling it anymore. So I have two left. I'm saving for, I don't know. I'm just saving for a couple more days, I guess, until next weekend. But I did get these. It's Off Hours, and it's called Limelight. And I chose it because it says focus, and I need some focus. A little more focus would not hurt. But we'll see. It's hitting nice and strong. So thank you, Housing Works. You have a huge selection of wonderful products I'll never get to. But the Off Hours brand, I've had really good luck with. I also bought and will use. I did a video for chapter 8 already, but for certain reasons, I it just wasn't. I don't know. The mood seemed off. I don't know. It wasn't right. And but I had taken an old favorite. I'll show you that next time because tonight I'm on these, so they hit nice. So see what happens with the rest of this video. Links below. Housing Works. Yeah. So I mentioned in my IG earlier this week that what's the film I picked of the week? Oh, Valley Girls or Valley Girl, and Martha Coolidge directed, 1982, and it's the only time I would want to go back. The only time I would want to be in California. It just wow, she really just captured. Anyway, it's a fabulous film, and Deborah Foreman is wonderful, and apparently Nick Cage had a crush on her during the film, and Nick Cage is hot as hell. Even his sidekick is pretty cute, and it's, but it has heart. It's earnest, and even he is earnest. I think I may have mentioned this before. I don't know, but it's a wonderful film, and another woman director, which makes me very happy. And perhaps that's I don't know. I don't know. I haven't really researched the writing and the story behind that film, though it probably stems somewhat from the Valley Girl song, like, for example, because I remember that. I think I may have had 45 to that. So because that was huge, and Moon Unit, and I'm like, oh, I can't even do it. It's been too long, but like Gag Me with a Spoon, like totally. She did well because she was a Valley Girl, so she knew how to talk Valley. And anyway, it's a whole vibe, and it's a vibe, and so of course I had to make the album of the week, the soundtrack to Valley Girl, because it's just some of the best, like, 80s new wave pop. It's just a great it's a great accompaniment to that film. It's one of the best soundtracks out there, in my opinion. And other, of course, I made my song. My chapter song is "We Got to Get Out of This Place" by the Animals, because now see, my first chapter 8 video that will not be seen, I talk about this and how at the time that the gummies I took then, which were some new gummies that I should tell you about next time, I was just no, I lost my train of thought. Oh, but I was just like, the world was a lot of things happened this week. And, you know, a lot of shit's happened. You know, I never thought I would be living in a dictatorship, under a dictatorship. But that seems to be the way we're going. I just never thought I would live to see the day. I just never, you know. We do what we can, fight, you know. Only if we unite. If we unite, we put our differences aside and we unite for the common good. And I think we have strength to do that. We've been told we don't have the strength to do that, and we've been told that the other side is lying to us and conspiring against us, and taking our job and taking our this. It's just a lie. They're just lying. They're just making it up. We are much more capable, and we have much more power. And if we ever fully realized that and truly came together, to fight against this, and in what I would hope would be a peaceful manner, just by the force of the number of people who just all just stop believing these lies and these myths that have been made and passed down, and just they have insinuated themselves into this country. And anyway, I didn't mean to go such a, but that's what I was feeling, and I was like, I've talked to friends at work, and they're like, I want to move out of the United States, and I totally get it. They treat most segments of society, very poorly here in the United States. If you're not a 1%er, but I'm going to become part of I'm a mature woman now, and will be a senior citizen, and they get treated like shit in this country too. They're just tossed aside too, just like everything. Because we're just consumers to them. That's all we are. Anyway, that's why I chose that song. And I won't go through all the songs I listened to afterward that almost got me to a transcendence. Like I would be able to transcend this all. Like still do my best to fight against it, but transcend all the muck and fight, but without getting mired and all that. Anyway, so there's that. And also because the last couple of weeks I've been having these encounters with, I've come across either dying or dead birds and one dead mouse. One was a pigeon who I believe was on the sidewalk walking to or from work, or not all the time. No, one was walking from home from Trader Joe's. But so once, I can't remember which one I saw first, but it was a newly dead pigeon, like she had flown into the building and died, broke her neck or body and died. because when I picked her up, and I picked her up, I couldn't just leave her there. I couldn't do that. Her body was still warm. And there really wasn't, they have these big concrete urns with beautiful foliage and flowers. And it's pretty densely packed, or full, let's say. So I gently laid her body under some of the beautiful foliage in one of those urns because she deserved at least that, just to be alone in her death, just to give her life some dignity. And then I was walking home from Trader Joe's, and I passed by a church, and I got my bags, but I see to the left, see something moving, and it's a baby bird, an injured baby bird. Perhaps she'd fallen out of her nest from the tree above, but she was injured. And I mean, this was at the door of the church, and it was just like, it just so moved me, and it was such, to me, like a metaphor of what did I write? Just because I just have to write. I just have to. I just have to say. I can't remember what I wrote. Oh, yeah, it's like such a metaphor of religion's exclusion of non-human animals from the circle of compassion. It's like the first thing that came to me when I saw that. There's like such, this poor baby being is hurt, and she's at this beautiful and imposing door of this church, and no one's gonna see, no one's gonna see her or hear her. They're not gonna know that she's out there. But I didn't, I have rheumatoid arthritis, and I'm carrying my groceries, and I don't know where a vet is. And I didn't know if perhaps her mother would come back. I just didn't know. So I picked her up very gently. And again, the church has these beautiful cement urns with lovely foliage, full foliage, and flowers. And I laid her in the soil, covered, with some dignity. So maybe she could at least heal, I thought, I felt like that was all I could do for her at that time. I'm sorry, little baby bird, but it was just, it hit me as such like of what I spoke about before, which was, speaking to the National Presbyterian Church pastor about, you exclude the vast majority of life from your circle of compassion and mercy. That's anyway. But I was also, and then there was a mouse, and the mouse looked like it had been stepped on, but I picked her up too, and she was right by a park, so I kind of set her under some bushes and placed some, like a really light piece of bark over her, just to give her a hand, a day, just give them a little dignity. And then I saw a starling maybe. I came upon that bird. It, I think it was a starling, and she was definitely gone, but her entrails were out, and so I picked her up, and I got my hands a little bloody, but thank you for having these urns with these beautiful flowers for someone who can't, like, give this poor being, like, some dignity, you know. I mean, do I think anything happens to us after death? No. I think we just return to what we were before we were born, which was nothingness. And I can't wait for it, actually. I'm really looking forward to it, especially as I feel apparently becoming a dictatorship. That's just boggles the mind. But I just wondered if that was like a portend, if, those were signs. I don't consider myself a superstitious type person. I can get paranoid, but that's more like anxiety and CPTSD. But I don't know though. I like I said, I've been here for 4 years, and I've never come across so much, birds dying and dead birds with these change of seasons. And of course, I had to go and read up on what it can mean. Of course, it can mean something very good, or it can mean something very bad. And they even tell you, like, depending on the bird, depending on how the bird died, depending on there's so many variations. But I do find it just kind of it unsettled me. Um, and especially as what I was talking about, all this life around us that nobody pays any attention to. They live and they die and they get injured and they fall out of nests, and they're part of the city too. They're citizens of the city as well. And I just couldn't leave them to, And I actually remember the pigeon when I picked up the pigeon who, like I said, a woman passed me and she looked at me, and then she looked at what was in my hand. She was like, but I don't care. I didn't want that poor pigeon to just be dumped somewhere, in the trash or whatever they do. I don't know. I did the best I could. So thank you to those big beautiful urns that have lovely foliage, because they've become some resting places for some of our fellow avian and marsupial. Well, no, am I a mice marsupial? No. Anyway, even mouse and the birds. They're part of our city too, and they have it really hard. They make it very hard, humans in general, against animals, you know. Um, yeah, and that it also made me remember how we thought my sister had epilepsy. She was having these seizures, and I remember one. We were at my dad's parents' lake, lake trailer, and it was a lovely trailer and cabin, and the guest room in the trailer had two bunk beds, and Jill was on the top, and I was on the bottom, and all of a sudden I was awoken because the whole bunk bed was shaking. She'd had, a seizure. Of course, at the time, I don't know if I knew if that's what happened. I just, like I said, it was enough to wake me up. And I was a very good sleeper back then. And then I remember her and going with her to get EEG, or when they put electrodes tape into around your head, EEG, or to read your brain, like what's going on with your brain. And I never heard anyone say that she was epileptic. So I don't know if she ever took any medication for anything. But she also had this. She had this favorite, like silver blue. No, it was purple. It was lavender. Pillow. It was, a girl size little pillow, like today you would see it like around the shoulders or whatever. But that was her, and it was satin, and she took that with her everywhere. And I just would I always remember, like, when we'd be in the car, in the back seat of the car, driving somewhere, that she would do this, and she would bang her head back against her pillow in the back seat of the car. Anyway, I found out that it wasn't epilepsy, and why I was in there and allowed to see my sister. See, this is just, see what I'm saying here. Just inappropriate for me to be in there with her because, I was there when it happened, and I don't know if that was the only time it happened, but it was great. It was crazy. But they do have these non-epileptic surgeries, um, and the name is in the article. It's an NIH article, but they're non-epileptic surgeries. They're caused by childhood uh, trauma. um, and I truly believe that's what she had. I wouldn't even be a bit surprised if she, I don't know, this thing, the repetitive banging your head against the back seat of the car, those things, I just, I never not, I never not saw her do that, and that's a strange thing for like a 12, 13, 14-year-old girl to do it. Or, you know what I mean? It just, you get the, it's not, and all head movement is valid, but, to me, even, I mean, that's what she always did, but as I grew older, I thought that something wasn't right there. And I don't know if that had anything to do with these non-epileptic seizures that, she's, and some people have said that CPTSD and I guess PTSD can be considered, or could be considered, neurodivergent, because it's like a psychological injury. Um, it fucks with the development of your brain, so it changes the development of your brain, and which I find just anyway. She seemed to grow out of them, but it was just so funny because in that same bunk, oh gosh, this was several years later because my stepmother, Faith, came with us. And this was, I don't know if this was before they married, my dad and she married, or before they had kids. But I was probably 12, Jill was probably 15, and making my father very angry for some reason. Sometimes I thought that she was doing it on purpose, like to show him how weak you are, that I can make you fucking beat the shit out of me. Like, what a weakling you are. A part of me wouldn't be surprised if that was it, but also probably just feeling like, I mean, she's a rapist daughter. And we probably did suffer some reactive abuse from her mother. And of course, being born of a woman who's been being also, which, was it Sweden? God damn it, where was it? Was it Sweden? Where, oh no, England and Wales. The law now that babies born of rape are also considered victims of rape, victims of crimes. And I don't know where I was going with that. But anyway, I don't know why the birds kind of made me think of Jill, except that I always tried to either rescue her or I wanted to be like her and I wanted to save her, you know. I wanted her to shut up, you know, because that must have been rage in her too. Like, you know, you may beat the living shit out of me, and my sister, and but even if she didn't think me, it wouldn't have bothered me. But because I think she was just so dissociative as a kid. So anyway, so just a lot of weird happenings that have made me think about, you know, memories and how, you know, fragile children are, you know, and how fragile you know, the vulnerable are, the voiceless are. You know, like when I came across the dead and dying birds, and the little mouse. Their life was as precious to them, you know, and it just, you know, I get it, but I also, it doesn't have to be that way. It was a process getting it to be that way, where we don't even have the time or the awareness or the emotional intelligence to oh, and that also got me thinking about questions because I was reading the book Abolish the Family, and I had to return it because somebody else had it on hold, and I hadn't finished it, but I will finish it. but what I read of it was really interesting, and I posted on IG about it. And I can't remember if I read it. I can't remember where I got the idea from, but I was thinking of like a list for people or couples wanting to have children, and because from wherever I got it, it's like, what have you done to make the world a better place for this child you want to bring into the world? And I think that's a really important question. What have you done to make, and it's not just your child, it's your grandchildren and their children and their children. So, it's future generations. And that includes, being healthy, get your blood work done, eat a nourishing, healthful, and earth-friendly diet. Seriously, we're destroying our planet because of global warming, and animal agriculture is a huge contributor to that. It's a big contributor to that. It's a major contributor to that. And then, what are your traumas? We all have some traumas. They can vary in intensity, I suppose, but I don't like to measure that, really, because trauma is traumatizing, which means it can be terrifying. And, how do you, if one person finds something terrifying, that's all that matters, right? It's that sort of thing. But, yeah. And then treat the earth the way, and heal the earth in some way. Find ways, whether that's the food you eat, and yes, just replacing a meal a week or two, a meal a day. Maybe try some oat milk, something, just do, make subtle changes. But I mean, so have you done that at least, or are you conscious of what you consume? And that includes the food you eat, and right. And then also to ask yourself what your values are, and what your shared, if this is with a partner, what your shared values are. And do you feel satisfied that you're living by your values, and that they're, you know, um, good values? Hey, young Belle, sweet girl. She's still limping a little bit, but then she looks better. I don't know. I don't know, baby girl. What can you do it? Can you make it? Hi, sweet pea. I love you, girl. But another thing, have you considered adoption and fostering? And I'm being serious about that. I know people say that adoption's really hard and arduous and expensive, and I'm sure that's true. It doesn't have to be that way, but there's also fostering, and I understand that fostering is, you're not going to get the babies. Well, you could get the babies, but there's also a chance that you could get a 14-year-old. And of course, you could, adopt a 14-year-old as well, too. But a lot of times, I don't know. I'm not an expert on that. Baby girl, my goodness, what are you doing? She said, I want you to know I'm okay, even though you're not supposed to be jumping on anything. Why are you jumping? I ordered CBD treats for her. My baby. They should be here by Wednesday. I know. I wish I could have them earlier too, baby. You shake your baby girl. That made my day. That so made my day. But yeah, do you know what your values are? Your most important values. Do they mesh enough? If you have partners. And are you at your optimal health? If you run over this keyboard, baby girl, if you run over this, and I sense you're going to, I feel you leaning into my arm. But yeah, really, don't you want to be in optimal health, right? We all do. But I think that would be a very important time to be at your optimal health. And then easier to maintain. But really, physically, emotionally, mentally, are you doing well? Yeah, get blood work done. Find out what, right, baby girl? Oh, she got scared. She got scared. Oh, baby girl, do your mommy? Is mommy coming back? You're sitting on the thing, baby girl. I don't know. Good girl. You're a troublemaker. Did you know that? Look at you just getting up here because you can. Thank you for all the good wishes about her torn ligament. Anyway, I'm trying to pick her up, but it's hard to do when you're at work all day. But when I can catch her, because she can be quick. She's got a mind of her own. But yeah, blood work. Have you thought about starting a 401k for them? Seriously, and the only reason I know about the 401k thing is because I follow the Shaw family, and they fostered and then adopted their foster daughter, and oh yes, they started a 401k for her. I love that channel a lot. Like I said, that's like the only family channel I watch. She's a vegan, and that's originally why I watched that. Plus, they traveled a lot. They went to some lovely places, and I did enjoy Rihanna's when she was becoming a certified anesthetist. Her doctorate and certified anesthetist. Okay, honey, you're showing me too. Bye, baby. Thank you so much for joining us. Nice to have you. I'm so sorry. Oh God. Oh no. That's right. And they started a 401k for her. They are thinking of her future, and they're very intentional. Not that I'm not a parent, but I feel like they were very intentional in their ways of doing this. You know, Rihanna had grown up in foster. In the foster care system, and so she knew what it was like, and so they decided not to have kids and biological kids, and they decided to foster, and then they fell in love with their beautiful daughter Tiana, and went through open adoption process. That's fine lines. Anyway, it's a wonderful show. It heals me to see that these traumatized people fell in love, healed, and became so intentional. But they're funny too, and I think that, and we just like to drink, and they like to drink couple for me. I'm jealous of them. uh, I don't plan on ever dating again or anything like that, but I mean that you can really tell that they're in love and in love with their daughter, and you can tell that the parenting style they use is, I guess, they consider it like gentle parenting style, which I really don't know much about, except that it seems to be working very well because it seems to encourage. Well, I think the biggest thing for me that I see when I watch the shows is she feels safe. She feels 110% safe with both parents. She knows her parents love her and that you never let anything happen. You know what I'm saying? And they love her, and they would do anything for her. And that's very powerful to have. It makes me happy to see that she has that. And but yeah, I don't see a lot of that kind of parenting. Of course, I don't hang around, but I've seen a lot of parents with their children through the years. I've worked a lot of retail, and I've seen what families are today. You know, well, um, the families who can afford it, right? But even, it's always those that can afford it to be like, I don't know what I was saying, but anyway, yeah, that. Anyway, I was thinking of those questions because it's like every time I'm not happy when I see a pregnant woman. I'm really not. It displeases me. And it's because I just, what are you doing? You see what's going on around you, yeah. And then I also want to ask, like, because I heard someone, I can't remember where I heard that from, but thank you to whoever put that. I know I'm paraphrasing it, but it was, what have you done to make this world a better place? Through your job, through your values, through your good lifestyle, through uh, how politically active you are, and how well you take care of yourself. Um, you Anyway, I think that's all I'm going to get into today. Gosh, I didn't go as far as I thought. I had this other thing in here, but it doesn't really seem to go well at the end of this. I was like, oh, a little, yeah. And I guess it's just, I also see it because, I mean, my sister and I came from parents who should have never been parents, and that was totally my father's fault. He was a rapist and a child abuser, Alfred Sullivan Perry III, and but that just, and I people have lived with a lot of trauma and childhood trauma. Take the ACE study. I can't remember if I ever linked it down below, but take the ACE study, ACE, Adverse Childhood Experiences survey. Take that and see how many ACEs you have. I think I counted. I had, it was either 4 or 6. It was up there, and Um, yeah, and uh, and I just think it's important that we heal these traumas. These, you know, just don't just stop it. I mean, I stopped it by not having kids, so I did my part, and I'm glad I didn't have kids either. But that's just one like artery or vein, and you know what I'm saying. But yeah, it's just like one little bit, but it's my bit, and I think it's important that I nipped it in the bud, at least in my on on my part. I wasn't going to add any more of us to the world, and I, I mean us as in my having, you know, a rapist, child abuser as a father, and the trauma that that involves, major trauma, and yeah. So I just really, when I see parents, small children, I'm just like, what are you doing? And that's where I get it from. Um, it's a trauma informed uh, reaction or response to it. um, but I also am aware of how perilous things are, and they're not, you know, I don't see them getting better enough, or to do enough good, or for their, for us to have enough time to do it. I think uh, we're getting close to it being too late. That's just what I kind of like think. China, I guess it's just because I live in a city of 8 million people, so I see a lot of personality, and I see a lot of like, but not, and not even personalities. Well, I do see personalities, but I see a lot of same personality, and I see also a lot of like just vacant eyes. You know, like I said, it smells like shit, piss, and weed in the city, and everybody's getting high because it's it's not good. It's not good. Um, and dogs, I don't like to see dogs. I mean, I love to see the dogs in the city. I feel, first of all, I feel bad for a dog who's walking with his or her parent, or parent or parents, and the new baby, and I'm just, or the, you know, the toddler, but especially the new baby, because I'm just like, oh god, and you just got another dog. You know, the dog's never gonna get the same amount of love they ever got before. You know, they were the only child. You know, and now they're, I see them and they're more focused on the child, and the dog is, you know, cutely walking behind or on the side and not creating any problems. I just, I don't know. I just, you know, I don't like to see that. So have a dog, don't have kids. You know, do your kids first, and then get a dog. But don't get a dog and then have a baby. Don't do that to a dog. Seriously. And I just don't like seeing dogs having to walk on the pavement, shit on the pavement, and pee on the pavement. It's, you know, dogs should be running around. And I know we have dog parks and whatever, but it's just not enough. I cannot emphasize this enough. There is not enough green space in this city. Uh, for humans and non-human animals. And to see dogs being walked on cement, at least part of the way, like on the way to and from the park, you know. And not all of them now. Some of them I see and they had the booties on it. I'm really happy about that, actually. I almost want them to pass a law that you have to put booties on dogs, because there's glass and shit all over the sidewalks. I had told people with a dog, I said, there's glass right there. Because, of course, the dog doesn't have any protection for their paws. And, you know, the sidewalks get fucked up every day here. At night, I'm sure, too. But I don't know at night do that. But, so I love it when I see that the dog will wear, and seems very comfortable in wearing the little booties, because I think those look cute. Do you want to walk barefoot on that, on the sidewalks of this city? So why should your dog have to, unless they're violently opposed to the idea? I feel sure. And then also, don't get a husky in New York City. I was talking about this with somebody else. It must have been at work or whatever, and somebody agreed with me. They're like, yeah, huskies belong like in Montana or Canada or, you know, Arctic. But, you know, they got husky, that's like husky weather is snow and, you know, it's cement here. Very little snow and lots of less than pleasant things on the sidewalk. And I don't know. I'm all for adopting, you know me. Don't, and again, don't buy a dog. Don't buy dogs and breeders. Don't support breeders, please. And thank you. I put up a thing also on my IG, because I was Social Justice Saturday today. And I don't know why I said it like I was being sarcastic or making fun of it or whatever, but all of the things that I posted in my stories, I feel very strong about. So, I think that's where. What the hell was I posting? I can't remember what I was posting. Do you remember? Do you remember? Can you tell me what happened? Anyway, I think I'm going to wrap it up. I almost decided to change the song at the last minute because it's really good, and it made me want to watch this film again. And maybe I'll watch the film again, but maybe I'll also save it for a future film of the week, and accompanying soundtrack. I'm getting into this thing with the movie and the soundtrack. I may do a theme, and then we'll move on to something. Or just keep doing it. Maybe just do soundtracks to the end of time. I don't know. But those are the movies I chose. They're on IG. Or movie and music I chose. And the reason I chose this song is you can tell I'm very optimistic about the future. And yet at times I do feel very optimistic. Or at least, I don't know, hopeful. I guess I have to feel some sort of hope to keep trying, right? Right? I mean, if you're going to keep trying, I'm going to even do this. I gotta have some sort of hope in something. I thought about posting. I'll put the salon name down in the bio. Where I used to live, I found this lovely salon, and they used all vegan products. And she cut my hair really well, and styled my hair very well. And so I said that like 18 times. I feel like I said that a lot. And when I decided I was moving here to New York, I wanted to do. I couldn't afford to like get, what do they call them? Portfolio of photos, right, for after. And so I asked her to do my hair and makeup. And she used all like Aveda products and makeup also. So it's all vegan, which is really lovely. And then I took selfies of myself for the first time ever. I thought I might post them, and then mention like all the big or model agencies. They're going for older women with beautiful. Oh shoot, my thing is going off. Hey Google off. Hey Google off. Sorry about that. Yes, I use a British woman's voice. I don't know if you can hear that or not, but it's 9 o'clock. No, it's not talking. Anyway, I don't know. It's the bird thing, and then that made me think about my sister and the vulnerability and how people don't do enough about it, about the you know, the important stuff to me. And that, you know, not everyone has to be like me. I wish it would make my life so much easier. Because I feel like everything I say feels very rebellious to other people or radical to other people. But then I've always felt like I'm either too much or not enough. So I think I'm at the too much point for even now I dial it back. Here I talk like more openly about it, but I'm not. I don't hang around a lot with my friends, and when I do, I don't tend to talk about. I mean, if we happen to get on the subject or whatever, but we have a lot of other things to talk about. Being a vegan is just one part of me. I mean, it's a very important part of me, and I think it's, like I said, it's a part of me, and it will always be a part of me. And but it was just like the beginning of my journey. And I know it sounds simple. I know it sounds very like macrame things and you know, the boho sheep thing or whatever. And I do not do that. I have to say, sometimes it looks nice if it's like new colors, the pink and the gold. I kind of get into sometimes, like it's the cream, pink, and gold. I can see that. It can't be like too much and too many of the like boho stuff. And if it's gonna be boho, no, it's gonna be like vintagey. I'd rather it be vintagey, but minimalist. Um, and what am I talking about? My future home. Um, I don't know how to off on that tangent, but I think I'm gonna leave it here for the night. And I'm so glad Lily Bell came by to say hi. I'll let you know how those treats work for her legging. But she couldn't stop her from jumping up on the bed, and I couldn't stop her from jumping off the bed. But I've got her in the apartment to myself tonight for a little bit, so I thought this would be a good time to do a video, especially since I did another video. You know, I did the first video back on Thursday, and I think it was too trippy. I don't know, this one might be getting kind of trippy too, but I didn't quite know the order that those stories should go in. I kind of just started where I thought was best and went from there. So anyway, hi, so just cut me some slack. I'm traumatized, hi. But I made an ice. I know I don't have any beverage here because I'm not going to risk that again. Oh, because you missed it. I had a smoothie, and my smoothie fell over onto my studio sofa, and with my non-existent microphone. Oh God, I just think I was about to, I think, give me somebody a hit all there for a second. No, I won't do that again. No, thank you. Like they're beating down my door for it, but no. Yeah. Plus, the arthritis in my jaw. Seriously, no. And my neck, not my neck, I got like degenerative disc disease in my neck. I'm really painting them, like they're really like going, God damn, she sounds good. And I want her to, and she will not because of all of her trauma developed autoimmune diseases. Anyway, I hope you all have a great rest of the weekend. And I'm getting my finger up so I can stop recording before I take too long. And you have to sit there awkwardly and watch me do it. So I'm going to sit right here and stop recording. So, peace.